How do you become a web designer? In this video, I want to share my story, my journey of how I transitioned from a career in journalism to being a web designer and agency owner. Hi, if we haven't met, my name is Olga. I run Applet Studio. It's a Squarespace template shop and design agency. I started this business in 2020, to be honest, in 2018, but it took me 2 years to get the momentum going and to start really getting clients and getting consistent revenue. So here's my story. I was a journalist in Ukraine. I started working as a journalist in 2008. I was 19 years old, and my first editorial job was at a daily newspaper. I was 19, I turned 20, and I was a university student at the time, but I was so hungry for work. I was so determined to prove myself that when I was like third year student, I actually found a full-time job in journalism in a daily newspaper, and I switched to like a different form of education, and it took me longer to finish my bachelor's degree than I originally planned. So I worked in different roles. I was radio journalist. I worked for Radio Liberty Free Europe for several years. I also was business journalist. I worked for newspapers, websites, covered a lot of stories. So I think like this entrepreneurial mindset, I got it from actually my work in journalism. So I was a journalist between 2008 and 2012. In 2012, I moved to the United States and with my husband, and he went to the university. I was at home, but then I thought I should also go to the university. So I also got myself into a master's program. It wasn't easy. So when you're from abroad and you don't have any connections, any money, it's not easy. So these were really interesting 3 years in our life, definitely. Also had a lot of jobs in between semesters and sessions and like hustled, hustle, and hustle. So when you're a journalist, you basically, the nature of work is you hustle. You bring a story to an editor and you pitch it. And not all of your pitches get picked. So you learn to pitch more stories than you potentially can ever write. And some of the stories get approved and you get to talk to people. And then when you talk to people, when you find sources, you call a lot of people who you don't know, which is also a great skill that I'm using a lot right now. So call a lot of people, and the story that you file cannot always, not a guarantee that it's going to be published. So the work is really stressful. And because I was young and these were so formative years, I didn't feel the stress. So right now, my entire like mindset and my approach to work would be completely different than when I was in my 20s, definitely. So I did a master's degree in the United States, and one of the classes. So originally, I thought I would go into business journalism track, and I would be just perfecting my skill of business journalism. But the journalism school that I went to, University of Missouri, has a strategic communication track. So I thought, why don't I learn some new skills, some new hard skills? Um, and my English wasn't so good at the time. I was still learning English. I was still figuring out. And I thought, okay, if I go into the journalism track, I will always be behind the people, just because they have better English than me. And I would never be as good as them. So what else can I learn? And the journalism school had classes in HTML and CSS. It was called Media Planning and Design. And it also had classes in infographics. I took the infographics class, and in the infographics class, I learned Illustrator and Photoshop. And I remember when I first discovered vector graphics, I would sit for hours just doing online tutorials and figuring out how to use Illustrator. For the record, I haven't used Illustrator in probably, I don't know, 8 years or something, because I graduated in 2015. So that's how I got introduced to web design and to graphic design. But I didn't consider myself graphic designer for a long time. Because when eventually I graduated in my strategic communication education is mostly about marketing, and my thesis was about native advertising, which was also like very trendy at the time. But native advertising at the time meant that you produce an interactive story for a publication, and the interactive story has elements of infographics. It has different interactive sections, and journalists know how to produce those. So there is a storytelling component where you put on your journalism hat, right? Reporter's hat. But there is also a very important visual component. I had an internship where I produced infographics. I also had an internship where I was designing a newspaper, so designing an actual physical paper. So I'm that old that I still know how to do that. I still have experience doing that. The actual physical newspaper made out of paper. So after that, I went to work in management, and my graphic design stuff was kind of on the back burner. I still enjoyed it a lot, and I did some of it, but I was mostly managing. I was managing website redesign, monetization networks for media. So I was a digital strategy director for a media. And in 2018, I had a baby, and after I had a baby, I realized that the office jobs are not available for me anymore. So I would not be able to get and maintain an office job anymore. And I would need to find something that would be more suitable for me. As a mother, I don't like to put my motherhood hat on at all. Like, I don't want to play motherhood card. A lot of women do when they're marketing, but I just don't think it's the right thing to do. But eventually I decided maybe I should do websites for clients. I need to open a company. And I started researching, okay, how do you get clients? At the time, I was on Upwork when I was getting copywriting gigs on Upwork as a journalist, as a digital strategy person. So it was really easy for me to get small jobs. And then I thought, okay, maybe I should like restyle my profile and do web design jobs. I was creating websites for clients before I thought I was a designer. So somehow through some people I knew, through some past employers, I just got several gigs where I created WordPress websites. So I took that experience and I redesigned my profile on Upwork, and I got multiple gigs on Upwork for client work to design a website. And my husband also helped me with that. So we worked as a pair. And little by little, so And then I thought, okay, so I have this amazing content experience where I can write write their website. I understand the layout. I understand how to write all these little sections for the website. There is a missing piece. I would not know how to design it from scratch because I was always using somebody's work for it. I was always using a theme for it, like a WordPress theme. So in 2018, it hit me. Okay, I need to invest time and money into my design education. So I need to learn design and figure out, how do I make something that I create from scratch? How do I make it perfect? How do I improve it? So in 2018, I was using Sketch to design websites. 2018, I started learning Figma. And in 2019, I discovered Squarespace. I started learning Squarespace and Figma simultaneously. So the first collection of templates that I created were based on my previous client work, but were also my attempt to learn this new skill that I was developing. So I discovered my talent I discovered my visual talent through infographics class at a journalism school, and I turned it into a business that I have right now. I also took my storytelling skill. I also turned it into something that you see today. So that's my story.